YouTube. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and I'm here to give you an update on my shamanic transformation. As you know, if you've been following the channel, probably a week and a half ago, after doing daily human-initiated contact with transdimensional beings from other parts of our universe, I went into a very deep and massive shamanic transformation, so much so that the whole right side of my body, from the elbow up, just completely went offline, literally. And that was because my left brain basically broke. And that was the result of me on, almost a daily basis for, close to a month, doing solo CE5 contact, which is human initiated contact with higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings. It has messed with my reality. I guess what's really happening is my reality has been expanding, and being I think this is probably typical with left brain males. I've talked to at least one female who has kind of did the same thing and had the same symptoms, but on the left side of her body, which means that her right brain, her emotional brain, was having a hard time integrating the experience. So anyway, I'm doing much better. The pain is pretty much gone in terms of the muscle spasm pain. There's no more pain. There's no more radiating. It was so bad that I would writhe in pain and beg, please stop, please make the pain stop. It was so bad. I was in so much pain. And that is gone. That's been gone for 2 or 3 days. There's some soreness, the nerves, especially the nerves. The nerves are very sore. And I take that to be a good sign. It means that the blood is coming back and the nerves are waking up. The weakness I had, it was so bad during the midst of it that I literally could not lift anything with my right arm because the nerves going to my deltoid muscle were just shut off. Nobody was home. And so that really frightened me, and I really was worried that I had done permanent damage to my brain. But I've now come to the continuing awareness that what happened is that just my logical brain was fighting the energetic, the energy that was being put into me. So if you haven't, by the way, everybody's different, so your experience may be completely different than mine. But based on my Vedic chart, I have a pretty good idea that what's happening is that my 8th house is being stimulated every time I do CE5. And I believe that the house of Pisces, or whatever house Pisces is in your Vedic chart, not your Western, your Vedic astrological chart, your East Indian chart, whatever house your Pisces is in, and or wherever your Jupiter is in, I think may have a lot to do with what your experience will be like. So my Jupiter is retrograde in the sign of Pisces in the 8th house. So that means every time I do a CE5, a human initiated contact with a transdimensional extraterrestrial being, that whenever I do that, I'm going to have a 8th house experience, which is sudden death, transformation from death to life again, the whole Phoenix experience, tremendously deep, unconscious, radical transformation. So I've been experiencing that. It has not been fun in the least, but things are much better now. And my arm is, it's not 100%, but it's every day. In fact, every hour it's getting better and better. So that's a good sign. I'm starting to integrate this on a psychological level. And what's happening is that I'm coming to realize, of course, that my unconscious understanding of the universe is first it's been destroyed and now it's expanding. And so I'm having an awareness that the universe is different than I thought. Some of the limitations that I had on physical reality is changing. In my mind, I had this sharp distinction between the physical and the spiritual. As you know, I'm a very practical person, so I always want to put things into some kind of physical reality test. And so I had this sharp, black and white idea about physical versus spiritual. And what I'm finding is that line is not really there. That there is a level of awareness where there is no distinction between spiritual and physical. There's just levels of degrees of density. Other things that I'm coming to accept, which I'm finding have been very difficult on an unconscious level. Consciously, if you were to talk to me about this, I would have had no problem, intellectually grasping the concept of it. But the actual unconscious emotional reality of it is a whole different thing, at least for me. And so what I'm coming to realize is that, once again, there is no God. There is no God. Not in the Abrahamic monotheist sense. So I've been preaching this for a very long time. But I want you guys to understand that me coming on here and making videos about how there is no God, that the monotheist God does not exist, that doesn't mean that awareness was a pleasant one for me or an easy one for me. So, when I go head to head with the born again Christian who wants to come on here and say, well, the Jesus of the Bible and Christ consciousness is different. Jesus really did exist. And it's just, we did, and I come at him and I'll give him, irrefutable archaeological, historical, as well as any other kind of proof to destroy that. It's not that I do that because I like that idea. I'm wired to be a monotheist. That's why it's such a big deal for me to destroy it. Because once I understand that my thinking is not reality, I go out of my way to completely, totally find out the truth, even if I don't like it. And so, once again, I'm coming to realize that the universe, first off, the one thing that I've had deep in my unconscious is that there's human beings on the planet Earth, and we're pretty much the only life form. We're the only planet in the universe that has life, and we're the only planet that has a conscious, self-conscious species that can create civilizations and technology. And, even though intellectually I had no problem accepting the overwhelming likelihood that there were other forms of life, on an unconscious level, I was still programmed pretty much to believe that humans were the only thing. So I had this, this idea that many of you do, the feeling that we live in this trapped earth prison. I've had that feeling. Consciously, it doesn't make sense. Spiritually, it doesn't make sense. And practically, I have disproven it over and over again with what I have taught you guys, which is take action on your soul, and the universe responds positively. And that what is the makeup of the universe is love and self-empowerment, So all of the victim mentality garbage I've gotten rid of, not because I didn't relate to it or feel that way. I got rid of it because it was clear to me from an intellectual perspective and an experiential perspective that that was a faulty understanding of reality. And so I pushed it, not because all those of you who believe that beings of light, false beings of light are here trying to trap you on this prison planet called Earth. Me coming at you and trying to talk you out of that, sometimes aggressively talking you out of that, isn't because I don't share those feelings. It's because I empirically have proven that that is false. And I've proven to myself that when I act on the assumption that the universe loves me, that the universe wants to give me good things and make me happy, if I act on my greatest joy and overcome all of my unconscious resistance and act contrary to all of that negativity within me, I have proven to myself every single time that the universe gives me all kinds of abundant, happy things. So I've proven it. It doesn't mean that I have overcome all of my negative feelings about planet Earth and human beings, and I still have those same feelings that you do. I just don't act on them. But what's been happening as a result of CE5 is that my understanding of the universe has been completely shattered. So now the reality that I've been living, which I didn't feel, again, I teach you guys to act contrary to your feelings when you know that your feelings are self-destructive. Feeling like a victim, everybody's out to get me, there are archons trying to destroy my life, you can't trust anybody, karma is a trap and Earth is a soul trap, all that stuff. I come at you against that, not because I don't feel it, but because I know from personal experience that it's false. And it is a battle for me to fight against that. So all of that is starting to change. But along with that, I'm finding some deep monotheist programming that's still inside of me. The idea that we're the only conscious beings in the universe, and that there's this wall between physical and non-physical. That monotheist duality view of reality is coming apart. And the easiest way to do that is to have a transdimensional being, beam into your house and physically touch you and jolt you full of energy, and yet you physically can't see them. That will screw with your understanding of, physical versus spiritual reality. Truth is that is a physical being. That being has a physical body, but he's phased out of 3D. So I can't see him. I maybe even pass through him if I try and touch him. But he has the ability to physically touch me and jolt me full of energy, as well as take over my radio and make my radio make funny noises, as well as read my thoughts and communicate to me with pictures and communicate to me with thoughts and feelings directly into my brain. This will totally screw with your understanding of reality, so that's the first thing. So being somebody who really takes comfort in understanding my physical reality, looking at physical reality and coming to conclusions about what reality is, when that becomes completely destroyed, that's enough to put me in a comatose state where my left brain completely goes offline, which is what's been going on. So as I've been processing that, my physical body has gone in pain, the right side of my body, the deltoid completely, which means, my right deltoid literally means my left brain, completely offline. I couldn't even lift my arm. The nerves were just totally unplugged. I had to live through that. I went through periods where the pain was so bad that I was, in tears. There were times, a couple of times, where I broke out into maniacal laughter. I laughed louder and harder than I ever had in my life, and it was because, I I put myself, my stomach was in knots because I was laughing so hard. As I came to realize that the actual physical, real truth was that I was able to telepathically call extra dimensional beings of light from other dimensions and places in the universe to physically beam into my home and take over my radio and touch me. And on top of that, was telling me that I have this magical meditational superpower to be able to change reality. I mean, just the ludicrousness of that being real. Like, this is a real thing. The ludicrousness of that was so amazing. It was just, I mean, I had to break out into laughter because otherwise it blow my brains out. I couldn't process it. So I've definitely been feeling like a crazy person and acting like a crazy person some of the time. Thankfully, that's gone away. What's been replaced is understanding the universe is not what I thought. There is no God. There is no God, and I don't know what the gods are. I do think it's possible that deities exist. I know from personal experience that there are non-physical spirits, so these are spirits that don't have physical bodies, that are loved ones. When their soul leaves their physical body, they are not in a physical body, but they are transdimensional and multidimensional, and they can interface with us the same way that these extraterrestrial physical beings do. I don't understand that. I just know from personal experience that that's true. That I would say that the majority, not all, but the majority of my physical paranormal experiences, where I believed, like when I was a Christian and I literally saw Jesus in the clouds, that wasn't Jesus, that was extraterrestrials. And they were giving me a message. They used the Bible and they used my Christian beliefs to give me a seemingly paranormal experience to drive home my purpose in life, which is to fight against evil. I'll share that experience another time. When I was 7 years old and I had an out-of-body near-death experience because my fever was breaking and I had scarlet fever and I was so sick that I was apparently on the verge of death, and I left my body for, just raised up out of it and saw what I saw to be a guardian angel, which was this being of light who was wearing a silvery gown that went all the way to the floor, and whose face and head was so bright that, where the head was just this beaming light. I couldn't see anything but this incredibly bright spiritual light and this overwhelming feeling of love. And in my 7-year-old vocabulary, I said, I couldn't see her face, but I could tell she was smiling. I believe that was an extraterrestrial now. So a lot of what I thought, and these were experiences I couldn't figure out because I knew that Jesus doesn't exist, never existed. So how is it that Jesus, spoke to me and I saw him in the clouds? It's extraterrestrial phenomena. How was it that when I was on the verge of dying, I saw a guardian angel? And I remember seeing my mom walk down the hall and walk right through her and then physically touch me. And then I was back in my body and then there's nobody there. The experiences I've had where I've reached out to the ascended masters of the different traditions that I've worked with, and then had these incredible downloads and spiritual and paranormal experiences. I don't know if that is also extraterrestrial because it has the same flavor. So what's happening with me is that I'm coming to realize that a lot of what I thought was paranormal, was angels, was God, could have been the whole time could have been extraterrestrials. And you may be thinking, well, why would they lie to you like that? Well, they weren't lying to me. They were communicating spiritual truths to me in a way that I could understand. Because if I had come out of my physical body and looked and if I assuming that was an extraterrestrial guide, in other words, what I'm saying is that your spirit guides are extraterrestrials. Your spirit guides are not spirits floating around. They're physical beings, perhaps that live hundreds or thousands of years, that have known you for many lifetimes. And they're your spiritual guides. They've been guiding you this whole time. They've been beaming down with you and experiencing you. A lot of times when you have an awareness, it might be an ET, pointing their finger at your third eye so that you have an awareness about something. I'm not saying it's true every single time. I know for a fact at least some of the time it is. And in my case, I'm wondering if that has been the case, that these spirit guides, these ascended masters I've been working with, are these extraterrestrials. I've always felt that the Mao Shan spirit fighting was an extraterrestrial spiritual practice. I've always felt that. I'm okay if it's not, but it sure seems that way now. So you'd be thinking, well, oh, good, you figured it out, except that I'm feeling very sad. My view, my fantasy of reality is crashing around me. And I had some dreams last night, some unpleasant dreams. I won't really call them nightmares, but they were bad dreams where I was in some dark place and I was trying to make my way out, and I didn't know what. I was afraid of something in the dark. So it's clear my fear of the unknown. And what's happening is that when I experience these beings, I bump into my fear of the unknown because I have to let go of my small view of the universe. But when it becomes, that I'm seeing that the angels and the gods and the spirits may have been extraterrestrials this whole time, it feels like a letdown. It makes me sad. And on the one hand, I have all this energy flowing through me, and I have this expanded awareness of, actually the beauty and the amazingness of our spiritual universe. That the universe is a spiritual place. It's not a physical place. It's a spiritual place. That we live in a magical universe where all beings have the ability to act like gods. And that is all wonderful. And my meditations are going through the roof. When I do any kind of energy meditation now, it's taking off hugely. But it's sort of like, now that I'm having this enlightenment experience, because that's exactly what it is, I'm now sad. My universe that I thought existed is crumbling. And whatever attachment I have to my old ideas about spirituality and physical reality, it's making me sad. And I woke up this morning, I can't even put into words, just another expansion of seeing things from a multi-dimensional aspect. But then going, my life, my physical life just isn't all that meaningful. It's just, life isn't all that, life is kind of, what's the point? So that's happened a few times in this process, but I'm feeling sad. Part of it is each time I do this CE5 I think just simply being in their presence, you get, well, me, I can't speak for anybody else. I get jolted with just huge charges of this blue electric energy that goes into all of my chakras and all of my energy centers. And in the beginning, it was very hard. My stomach, the, the muscles, of my abdomen were actually, kind of flipping out because I was fighting it. I didn't know that was going on, but I would go into pain, and I'd wake up. The pain would wake me up out of a dead sleep as my shoulder was like, "Gah!" And then I'd become aware that in my navel center there was this feeling of this intense energy that felt like it was killing me, not like literally killing me, but that the energy was my body was going away. And I had a picture in my mind of me physically disappearing, and that was terrifying to me. And so I've been meditating to integrate the energy. Sometimes in horrific physical pain, I will sit and it's, as you can tell, I can sit in a chair now. I couldn't do that for a while. But to sit on a chair and meditate in horrific pain while breathing and consciously seeking to integrate that electric blue energy that's going up and down my central channel, and and integrate it into my whole body. And because my brain is fighting it, and that's what was happening. My body and my brain was fighting the energy. And so I was making the mistake in the beginning when I would do this, and then I'd flip out and I'd have feel like I was going nuts. To prove to myself this really happened, I'd do it again, and then I'd do it again, and then I'd do it again. And all I was doing is I was making the transition more painful, because every time I do that, they would, maybe just being in their presence would lift my energy to another level, to such a point where that my physical body and my energy body were fighting. And so I've come to believe that that's what was going on. But there was a few days there where I really thought that I had permanently injured myself, that I thought that I was going to be, I wasn't going to be able to function. I'd be in some hospital somewhere, oh yeah, his left brain is dead. We don't know why. So there you go. I'm making a lot of progress. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm not 100%, but I can lift. I can actually, I don't know. I'm not ready to go back in the gym yet and test it. I may go in and do some legs or something, but I'm going to continue to honor this incubation, this healing process. But the main thing is I woke up feeling sad today, like feeling like life had no meaning. But what's really going on is that the meaning that I had attributed to my previous three-dimensional life, my previous three-dimensional attachments are falling away. So I have to let go of those things, some of those feelings, some of those understandings. Coming to understand that instead of worshiping or connecting to angels or ancestors, our ancestors may very well be extraterrestrial beings of light who can't be classified. You can't classify them as extraterrestrial beings solely, and you can't classify them as spirit beings. That they are both. And the reality is that so are we. If we are able to raise our vibration, if we are willing to drop the fear, drop the anger, drop the guilt, drop the shame, drop the victim mentality, drop the greed, if we're willing to drop all of that stuff, even if we can't, if we're willing to try, and we reach out to them, they will meet us and they will do what they can to bring us to the next level. And I believe that there's some urgency to it, because what I've been through past 10 days has been pretty painful. First 5-6 days were horrible. I mean, one of the worst experiences of my life. Painful, and physically and emotionally painful in my life. Frightening. I don't regret it at all, because I'm now ready to start moving towards enjoying my new experience, really testing out my meditation powers. And I'm looking forward to doing another live CE5 meditation event with them to change reality. I'm going to wait until my body's back to normal, and I'll have a little more humility about it. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm not 100%. Maybe we'll come back and start doing some videos, as I am feeling a lot better, but we'll see. I've been kind of up and down physically, a lot of downtime, a lot of alone time, walking, swimming in the ocean, a lot of meditation, a lot of energy work. But I'm coming back, and I'm going to have some new practices for you guys. Everything's changing. The whole world and reality itself is absolutely changing. And I want to be a part of that with you, and I want to do whatever I can to help you, if that's possible. If nothing else, we can be going down the same path together, going through the same issues together, and you won't be by yourself. So I recommend, if you want to get a head start moving towards the 5D, that you do the CE5 protocols, CE5. Don't make the same mistake I did. If you have an experience, give yourself some time. Give yourself some time before you do it again. Even if you're like, did that really happen? Give yourself some time to integrate the experience before doing it again. That'd be my recommendation. Otherwise, you might end up, putting yourself in a loony bin. That's it, my friends. I love you. I wish you all the best, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.